What's good, family? Smash the like button, subscribe, and lick off the bell. Damn, it's bad for your man's Gary Russell Jr. He got the fire slapped out of him by that Japanese Donny, MAGSAYO. It's super bad, trust me. I've got another video coming soon. Gary Russell reacting to his loss. Oh man, it's institutional. The system got me down. Listen, you got your ass beat. Yeah? Listen. Listen. I don't know how this Japanese Don worked out how to whoop you like that. I'm telling you now. He must be from LA. He whooped you like a crip. Yeah, he give you one of them good old hood whoopings. Trust me. He whooped you like a hood nick. 100%. Oh man, it's institutional and the system. You got whooped. I don't know what fight you was watching. That's the problem with these. That's the problem, yeah. These fighters what happened to Gary Russell Jr. reminds me of what happened or what happens to Adrian Broner. Adrian Broner backs up the whole night. Adrian Broner does some slick stuff, as in it's not even slick. Slick for me, yeah, is counterpunching or catching and countering. Do you know what I mean? That's slick when you're attacking your opponent and not getting hit. These funny style guys, Broner, Gary Russell, think that by running and moving and not being hit is not the same. Or you can't score. People don't understand. You can't score points by not being hit. Not being hit is only effective if you're hitting your opponent back at some point. If you're just spending the whole fight not being hit, and even then, to be honest, he didn't spend the whole fight not being hit. He got lit up. All of the offensive action came from MAGSAYO, whatever his damn name is, Japanese Donny, yeah? All the offensive movement, and he was in your backside the whole night. That's what did happen. I don't know what planet honestly, I don't know what planet these guys are on about institutional. Now, I'm not saying, are some fights not right? Yeah, but this weren't one of them ones. I'll be the first one to say if this was a robbery. He was in your ass, is what he was, 100%. Oh man, it's institutional, the system. Listen, what you want to do, and that's the worst thing. Anyway, you know what, I was about to go on a big rant about what Gary Russell had to say, but I'm going to cover that in my other video. Let's stick strictly on the boxing reaction for this one. So, some of the technical elements. For me, what was telling was, Gary Russell hit MAGSAYO square in the mouth with a left hand, his best left hand. Guess what happened next? MAGSAYO walked straight forward, didn't faze him. Meanwhile, Gary Russell Jr. got backed up the whole night. It's not good optics. Going backwards, it's very hard to win, yeah, when you're consistently going backwards from pressure. And not only going backwards, he was getting backed into the ropes and getting lit up on the ropes. In my video, you're going to see on the screen, he spent half the night against the ropes, getting touched. MAGSAYO had no respect, and for me, like I said, when the penny dropped here, was when you hit him clean, and he didn't give two F's about what you was doing, and you knew it. And I think at one point, Gary Russell Jr. he started trying to pretend his arm was hurt. I believe he knew where the fight was going. And after the fight, he said, "Oh man, my arm was hurt 2 weeks before." Listen, what we know is nothing wrong with your arm. You was trying to build in an excuse. And the man even had a cheek here. When the result got red, before the result got red, yeah, Gary Russell had his arms in the air. What's wrong with these guys? Accept defeat. You got touched all over. And to be honest, yeah, I'm not sure if this was a mandatory or not, but the true sign of how or what Gary Russell thinks about this fight will be if he wants a rematch. I'm going to tell you now, I don't think you're going to want a rematch. Oh man, it's the system. Let's see if It's the system wants a rematch. That'll be the telling. That's how you know, yeah. That's how you know if someone's been robbed. Because if someone feels they've been genuinely robbed, you should be begging for the rematch. And just quickly, guess what? In his post-fight interview, or in his post-fight video where he's complaining about the system being corrupt, yeah, he never once says, "I'm coming for you. I want the rematch." He don't mention it. And I think he's happy to move on now. Because that Don had no respect for him. Had no respect. I'm not being funny, yeah? If they was a heavier weight, he could have been TKO'd, honestly. Gary Russell could have been TKO'd. It was that bad. Honestly, it's only because they're small. It's very, I mean, we rarely see KOs at that weight. Them 118ers or whatever they are, 122s or 120, whatever they are, small dudes, yeah? Don't really see KOs. He was touched. Super touched. And that's the problem with these trying to be slick fighters. Trying to be slick doesn't win fights. At some point, look at Alvarez. Alvarez does both well. He can be slick to some extent, and he can dig to some extent. Being slick don't win fights. You've got to be slick and then do some touching. Or do more touching than your opponent's doing on you. And sometimes, or often, I've noticed a few of Gary Russell's fights, yeah. For example, Gary Russell and someone like Devin Haney. I know they're not the same weight yet, but Gary Russell and Devin Haney, they're similar kind of guys. And that's what I believe Gary Russell has been used to fighting. He's used to fighting people at one pace, just going through the motions. No one's really that bothered. Well, guess what? MAGSAYO came to win. And that's what a lot of these USA and Western boxers ain't really about it like that. They ain't coming to win. It's all too easy. Do you know what I'm saying? He came to win tonight. He wanted to win. Gary Russell looked like he was going through the motions, just like Devin Haney. Go through the motions. No intention there. MAGSAYO, he had, and you can tell, at the end of the fight, he dropped to his knees. It meant a lot to him. He wanted it. Can you say cocky Gary Russell Jr. wanted to win? I can't. He was there to go through the motions. So congratulations to MAGSAYO. Absolutely the right man won. And like I said, we'll see how much of a robbery it was when your man's Gary Russell demands a rematch. Oops. And that's another thing actually. I want to give credit to MAGSAYO's ability to pressure Gary Russell. Because like I said, Devin Haney and Russell Jr., they're happy to sit at mid-range and play touch, but MAGSAYO not only came to win and had the spirit and determination to win, he had something more than that. It's what most people want to win. Most people have the determination to win. It's another thing, having the determination to walk through the fire. That's why these guys like Devin Haney and Gary Russell, they play touch, but MAGSAYO, and that's the thing, he's a lanky man as well. He's tall and long. Tall and long fighters usually are happy to play that game, that tickle game. MAGSAYO, to his credit, had his guard nice and tight, and he walked through the fire. Marched into it. How can you knock that game? I can't. And no one who's realistic can knock that game. Proper solid game. I salute him. Honestly, am I going to watch him again? No, but who knows? Well, yeah, listen. He's not no Alvarez. He's not no big, nasty punching dude, but he had the volume. And he touched Gary Jr. all over the ring. That's what he did do. Had him backed into the corner. And this should be a rule for me. If you get backed into the corner 5 times more than you've backed your opponent into the corner, you've automatically lost the fight. Unless you've scored some magical knockdowns, just know you've lost. You goofy dude.